I've lost my job. I don't know when it's going to start back up again, and I don't want to go outside. So we've established active listening, we've established body language and tone of voice. What's step 3?
Step 3 is where we start to build a rapport. We start to build a trusting relationship. And that means that I have to be honest, I have to be authentic, I have to be real. If I can share something with you, I'll share something with you that puts us at least in the same ballpark, that I've had an experience similar, or I know what that feeling feels like. We don't ever want to say, I know exactly what you're going through, because we don't. Each individual is completely different. I don't ever want to lie to somebody in a crisis intervention de-escalation. I mean, maybe somebody is hearing things, hearing voices, or they're hallucinating, they're seeing things that to me aren't there. And they say, but you see them, right? You hear them? You hear those voices, right? And I don't want to lie and say, oh yeah, sure, I hear the voices, because that's not true. I also don't want to say there are no voices, because inside the person's head, to that person, they are hearing voices, or they are seeing something, or to that person, their feelings are absolutely real. But I can certainly say, I have to admit, I don't see what you see, but I absolutely believe that you do. That's being honest. It's not lying to somebody and saying, yeah, sure, I get it, when I don't. It's honestly coming across that I believe you, but I gotta tell you, I don't see it, I don't hear it, I don't feel it. Ideally, what I want to try and get to is where we start having a back and forth. Step 1, I was listening to you. Step 2, I'm reacting and I'm encouraging and I'm trying to put myself in the situation that you're in. Step 3 is when we start to ideally have a conversation where maybe the other person is starting to ask questions instead of just venting their feelings.
So talking about being honest, as a parent, how do you ride that line with your children?
From the standpoint of a parent talking to a child who maybe has gone through a traumatic incident or having a meltdown, or even in today's situation of what we're all going through. If a child comes and says, gee, mommy, what's matter? Or what's wrong with daddy? If we say, oh, nothing, everything's just fine. Well, 1, that's not honest, it's not authentic, and it's certainly not real. A child probably wouldn't ask that question if they hadn't already picked something up in either the body language or the tone of voice or something that was said. We pick up those things, tone of voice and body language, at a very, very primitive level. A child will absolutely pick that stuff up. And they're also going to pick up on a parent saying, oh, nothing's wrong, mommy's fine, when we're not. And then what happens is that breaks the trust level. I can't trust you to tell the truth when I can see very clearly that you're upset.
I think people are really, really going to be able to get help from this just by hearing that they can be honest with their children right now.
A child's going to pick up on the fact that we're afraid, or that we're tense, or that we're snapping. And the importance of that building rapport is that, again, we're honest and authentic. I mean, it just doesn't get more clear than that. We can't get any further until we validate what somebody is going through feeling-wise. And we can respond that way by saying, you seem as if you are really angry right now. You seem as if you are really on edge because you don't know where your next paycheck's coming from. Even if I'm wrong, the person will come back, no, I'm not angry as much as I am scared. So even if I'm wrong in what I've picked up on your body language and your tone of voice, and I think I've got it, you seem like this, you seem that. Even if I'm wrong, then you come back and correct me. That's honest, that's authentic, and now we've got a place to go. I'm starting to put those key ideas out. Okay, the problem is that you're not working right now because everyone else is staying home. You're afraid of going to the hospital, that if you do get sick because you've got asthma, it's going to be even worse for you. And that you're overly concerned about where's the money going to come from to pay for the hospital. Between us, we come up with the key things that are causing the feelings of being in this emotional crisis.
And I like what you're saying. If I say, I'm getting the impression of something, and this person is able to respond to me, that's creating the rapport that we want to de-escalate this crisis. Am I right?
The only thing that I would change would be in the way that that was said. If I respond back that I'm getting the impression that, then I'm putting me first. As opposed to if I say, you appear this way, I'm putting you first. But somebody who is very emotionally distraught is going to pick up on it.
That makes sense. So if I say, you seem a little tense, am I right? Would I want to say, am I right, to have that response? Or would I just put it out there, you seem tense, and let them respond?
If I ask, you seem to me very tense right now, that opens it up for somebody to answer, to pull out more information. Remember, that's the whole idea of this. We're trying to pull out more information from the other person. If I say, am I right about that? Then that's more of a leading question, or it leaves it open to just, yeah, you're right. Well, that doesn't get me more information. Right. Worse than that would be if you're talking to a child and say, you're really tense right now, right? That is what's considered a leading question, where I am giving you the cues, that telling you what to say, and that we don't want. I don't want to tell you what to say. I'm trying to pull the information out of you as gently as I can so I can know more.
And what I'm hearing is basically the difference from a closed question that ends the conversation to an open question or an open statement that can bring more conversation to the table.
So we want to think of beginning questions with who, what, where, how. We do want to avoid the word why. And that's simply because that's a very defensive type word. We all probably remember that from childhood at some point. Why did you do that? If we reword that why question, is there a reason that you did this? Is there a reason that you feel like that? Is there a reason? That comes across much different, and often there is a reason.
Yeah. I love the difference. What versus why is a very big shift. What is up to that person's interpretation. Why, I feel, kind of gives a right or wrong place. So what are some ways that you might know that a person is calming down? What would you observe?
The simple one can be, that big breath of air. Another one could be if they're pacing and they stop pacing. If they're standing and they're willing to sit. We want to look for those types of things that somebody is calming down. Somebody's crying and they stop crying. Those are physical signs that somebody is starting to calm. A person who's in a crisis or very emotionally upset, they have to vent. They have to talk through what it is that's happening before you can get on any further step. Anything where we can start to physically see that someone has started to calm down. And it is only then that we're able to get to that next step where we start to figure out, okay, what are we going to do about it?